I've been doing a little bit of a series about minimalism, and I thought that I would go back in time 20 years to my first ever decluttering minimalism article that kind of broke the internet. Okay, not really, but let me explain what happened. We're gonna see if any of these old tips are any good, and I'll explain to you how this article got super popular and it created a lot of problems. I'll tell you more about it. Just a quick word on where we are. This is a family member's pied-à-terre office that I am borrowing. It's a small condo in Toronto, and it's a rental, so you know you're not gonna offend any of us if you think that this is tiny, but coming here got me in mind. The view from the balcony is very, very nice. Coming here put me in mind of an article that I wrote in the year 2005 for Style at Home magazine, which is still a Canadian magazine, all about downsizing. And the name of the article, and it still exists, I'll put a link to it, is 10 tips for downsizing. So let's have a look. I think there's a lot here that I could probably revisit and learn from. Maybe you'll find it interesting too. And we'll see if this advice is still sound in the year 2026. Because can you believe that 2005, I was just, I guess, a young 20 something at the time. I'm in the bedroom now. So there is no actual outdoor window in this Toronto condo, which is very typical of the condos here. They just use this glass wall. So that is your window. There's no interior window in this space. It is a decent sized room. It's got a nice closet. That is just the mini tour. So here's the article all printed off. 10 tips. I have not looked at this in decades at this point. Okay, write a list of all the items you love and can't live without. It will help you say goodbye to things that didn't make the list. Okay, I quoted somebody here. It's hard to persuade people that they can't take everything with them. And I feel guilty of that because that's kind of my mindset. But keeping what's on your wish list, you won't be upset about the things you can't keep. So I think that actually that is very good advice still. I am such a believer in lists. I have talked about this on, I think, a previous vlog. I think that writing down a list is still better than like notes in your phone, especially if you're like decluttering and you just don't know. If it hasn't made the physical paper list, there's a chance that it actually didn't mean that much to you, and it probably wasn't the thing you were gonna grab if like there was like a big wildfire emergency. Fingers crossed you never have to deal with any of this, but if it didn't bubble up to the top of your mind, chances are it doesn't have that much of an emotional attachment to you. So I think that that is actually still a really good piece of advice. My point 2 here, start thinning out your belongings at least 3 months before the move. Take some time each day or one morning each week to go through that jammed coat closet or overflowing filing cabinet. I think that that is still good advice. Nothing wrong there. I think that before you move, like don't leave this till the last couple of weeks before you got to get going. Start months in advance. Often if you're selling a house and you are downsizing, for example, or you're just moving, you usually know a good while ahead of time. The person I interviewed, whose name is Jenny Davidson, she says paper is the real killer, so tackle it one box at a time. The same goes for photos, which require a lot of attention. So paper and photographs, you have to allocate more time to those. Okay, I'm liking these tips so far. I don't think anything is wrong with this advice. And now let me tell you about the scandal that came with this article, and I will go through the rest of these. So, you know, this article went basically 2005 viral, which is very different from the viral you might imagine today. But what had happened was, I can't remember now how we found this out, but we did find out that this article was being duplicated like crazy and people were stealing it. Basically, they were stealing my article, pretending that they had written it and putting it on their websites. And the number one perpetrator, if you can believe this, is actually real estate agents. Not even necessarily in Canada. I found basically this article reproduced in a lot of different places. No attribution to me. They had just taken these tips and pretended that they had written it, which today does not seem like such a crime because that is basically what AI does all of the time. But back then, like that was not cool. And so the legal ramifications is that the company that I worked for at the time had to go after these different places for basically stealing, for copyright infringement. So they were asking people to take it down. And I think some places complied, but some places didn't. Some places just added my attribution, like added my name to it and left it up there. So I'm pretty sure this article exists on other real estate agents' websites. They just took it. And I think somebody paid to reproduce it when the rights actually ran out and they reverted to me. I could be remembering this incorrectly. That was so long ago. August 29, 2005. Okay, so there was another little bit of scandal. My first negative comment back in the day. And so I did not get a lot of them because when you write in magazines, you used to get maybe an email rarely. It was much more common for people to send you like actual letters in the mail. So I think this was my first actual letter in the mail complaining about this article. So I thought that, in the realm of minimalism and downsizing, this could be a good location to talk about it just because this is such a minimal space. Like it's very sparsely furnished. It's just basically a little, pied-a-terre. If you don't know what a pied-a-terre is, it's just basically like a little city apartment that you base yourself out of for work. How fun that I get to access this spot. Tip 3, get a feel for the size of your new rooms by comparing them to rooms of similar dimensions in your present home. That's a really good tip. I gotta say, Helen, that was a good one. For instance, your living room to be might be roughly the same size as your current bedroom. You may think you can squeeze in 2 sofas, but this kind of reality check could help you realize only one will fit comfortably. It's very hard to imagine room sizes just on paper. I don't know what it is. Maybe you're very good at that. I have a friend who's actually excellent at that, but that is not me. If I see that it says, 12 feet by 14 feet, I cannot imagine what that is. So the tip here basically is to find a room of a similar size in your home, and that can help you visualize like what the sofa is going to look like in there, or whether your king size bed is going to fit in a room. I mean, take actual measurements if you need to, but that's a really good tip. Some of us need to see things concretely with our eyes, or else it's just too abstract. I think many people who move into condos like this think that it seems quite big, and then they get in there when it's brand new. This is a brand new space, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so much smaller than I imagined. I suspect it's entirely possible that the sizes they put on the plans that they sell you might not be exactly the sizes you come into, or they just feel smaller. I don't know. Okay, my next tip on this list dating from the year 2005, is this tip any good anymore? Heavily edit areas with items that don't have as much sentimental value, is what I wrote. Take the kitchen, for example. Most people don't need 10 mixing bowls and won't get teary-eyed over losing a second spatula. If you're downsizing from a house to a condo, target the garage. Snow shovels, the lawnmower, ladders, you won't need any of them. So, okay, that last tip was too obvious. I actually don't think that's a really great tip. Like obviously you know that if you're downsizing from a big house to an apartment, the first thing that's gotta go are the maintenance tools you're not gonna need. No kidding, Helen. But if you first go after those areas that don't have as much sentimental value, I think that that's a great idea, actually. So I will take this tip with me if I ever have to downsize. The kitchen. I have so many mixing bowls. I must have written this because I was already starting to be a collector. I must have, I'm gonna say, 10 mixing bowls. And the crazy things, I didn't back then, but I must have wanted to collect that many because I have probably more than that. I'm a bit of a collector, but there's some that I have that are kind of like, I don't care about them, so they would be easy to get rid of. Another area that doesn't have any sentimental value for me is the bathroom. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that I could just easily get rid of. Okay, my next tip, we're at tip 5 now, and this is the one that kind of got me, I don't want to say in hot water because compared to today, there's no comparison. I got 1 letter, but it kind of shook me because it was so rare to get any letters at all back then from people. Like feedback was so minimal. You didn't even know if a story performed well. The only reason I knew that this kind of went viral is because it got replicated online in so many different places. If it hadn't been for that, this article would have just come and gone and nobody would have thought about it ever again. So tip 5, don't throw anything in the garbage. Oh my gosh, this is bringing back all the memories. I wrote recycle, reuse, sell, and donate instead. As tempting and easy as it is to pitch wire hangers, musty clothes, and shabby furnishings, be environmentally responsible and find a home for everything. A can of Comment with a few shakes of powder left could make someone else's sink sparkle if you don't want it. Consider giving supplies to a shelter, neighbor, or cleaning lady. Helen, oh my God, why did you write that? That's a really bad tip, okay? No wonder I got something about it. Okay, so this is not true. You have to throw some things in the garbage. With textiles like musty clothing, I'm not sure you can get the smell out sometimes. If it's smoke, I'm nearly positive you can't get the smoke out of it, but you can double check online. But I don't think you should be donating musty clothes. I think that those probably do have to either be remediated and then you can wear them again or find a home for them. And if there's no getting the musty smell out, do the best you can, but I think that some textile has to be thrown in the garbage. It's not a good idea to send it to Salvation Army if it's rags and stuff like that. My understanding is a lot of these crappy textiles end up in developing nations, and then they have to figure out what to do with it, so our garbage becomes their problem. Check in your municipality about what the best way is to deal with these. Don't just bring everything to be donated. Some places take like rag type things, and some places do not, so don't do this. So the letter that the person had written to me basically said that. And actually, they hadn't picked so much on the clothing. That's just something I know from really learning a lot about textiles, becoming really interested in textile art and also fashion history. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that was not good advice. And I don't love admitting that I'm wrong, but I was wrong here for sure. A can of Comet, do you know what that is? That's the powdery stuff that makes the sink really, it's great for like stainless steel sinks. Consider giving supplies to a shelter neighbor or cleaning lady. I think that that's okay. I mean, the person came at me for saying like you shouldn't donate your cleaning supplies, but I still think you should. You can try leaving them in the box in the front for like a day, and if nobody takes them, then deal with it. And I think it's not a bad idea to try and donate what you have, but the person really took issue about giving like little bits and bobs of things to people. They thought that that was not great. It was not great to make that someone else's problem. And I see where they're coming from now, but I was like, at the time, these were not things I had lived through at that point. They were just things I was writing about, getting help from the people who had given me the tips that I had interviewed for this article. Tip 7, get an objective opinion. I think that that is still good. If you can't decide whether to keep or kiss that dusty 70s era sewing machine goodbye, it's good to have someone who'll say, oh, please, you'll never use that. It might be just the kick you need. So yeah, ask for second opinions from people that know you well. Like if you have a sister, a best friend, there's no harm in kicking these ideas around. Sometimes people know you better than you know yourself. So I think that actually is still a good tip. Okay, 8, when selling your goods, try an auction for high-end items. Then look for reputable antique and secondhand dealers. Often they can buy all of your wares or put you in touch with booksellers and other specialty dealers. Some dealers will come to your home, take what you don't want, and even drop off the charity stuff. That way you won't be trudging all over town. If you can't sell an item, donate it to a shelter. Okay, I don't know about that anymore. I don't feel like the antique and secondhand dealer market is what it was back then. In the year 2005, a lot of people love to buy antiques, and I don't know if you know this, but the antique market is not what it used to be. Apparently, like extremely expensive furniture like Biedermeier is just very, very out of favor. People don't collect that. That is not the favored furniture of wealthy people anymore. Antique furniture used to be a way, and I know this because I've been covering trends for such a long time when it comes to interior decorating, but antique furniture used to be the way of signaling taste, signaling generational wealth, and that is not the case anymore. This has to do with a lack of understanding of historical fluency. This has to do also with a lack of wanting to mimic maybe the English upper classes. There are a lot of different factors going into that, but antiquing in general, I've noticed, is not really as popular as it used to be back then, with some exceptions, of course. I think now people just sell things on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, Kijiji here in Canada. Okay, tip 9. Use floor plans to pre-arrange your furniture before the move. That's a really good tip. This is another useful reality check. To start, draw plans if you don't have any and sketch in a furniture layout. Then look at the plans realistically. If you've crammed in side tables, armoires, and chairs, you need to edit more. Don't wait until after you move to contend with furniture. You'll just end up tripping over. So I think that that is actually still a good tip. It's still a good tip for decluttering. It's still a good tip if you're just moving from one home to another, not even downsizing. Draw it out. Get like graph paper. I'm sure there's tons of software, apps, you name it. This used to be kind of a hard thing to do because you'd have to pencil it all in. I'm sure it's much easier now. Okay, I'm new at making these easy minimalism videos, and I'm making a series. We'll see how far we get, but if you are enjoying this so far, please do consider dropping me a like and subscribing. I would love to see you around here. And I have some other videos about easy minimalism and decluttering, so please do have a look at those as well. This is something that interests you. Okay, let's get on to our last tip, number 10. Once you get to the packing stage, use a color-coded system to organize all your boxes. Okay, so this is specific to moving. Choose a color for each room and mark the boxes destined for that room with a coordinating color sticker. You can also do the same thing numerically. For example, if room number 1 is the kitchen, then all boxes number 1 will go there. A simple and efficient organizing idea to make the move that much easier. So that's good. Okay, so here's a true tip. When I moved into my house, I did not use a numbering system. I did not use color coding. I did not follow my own advice. I wrote the rooms on each box. And it turned out that the movers were Israeli immigrants who did not speak or read English, and they could not read what the boxes said, so they were all over the place. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time here with me, and we'll see you on the next video.